Um, so today we're meeting with the department and MICT CETA for, they were supposed to be getting 3 reports, but the department has apologized and removed 1 report indicating that there's some information that they need to augment. So we'll get the MICT on progress in their development and implementation of the integrated learner management information system for PSET landscape. You'll remember, members, that we had recommended, I think in 2023 or 2022, in 2022, that this must be done because from that time, I think in the 2021-2022 financial year, the AG had raised serious issues about duplications of people on the CETA space. I think at the time it was 10,000, more than 10,000 learners who were found to be on more than 1 CETA program in the same financial year. And we had identified that the problem with that, CETAs will not be able to realize or will not be able to get it if each CETA continues to do or to have their isolated systems. So we had asked them to develop this system to resolve that AG problem, if I'm not mistaken. And I know that audits just finished. They will be released later in the year. And the likelihoods are that we're still going to have some duplications in the system. So we had called MICT CETA to give us an update on how far are we in developing this particular system to resolve these problems of, in fact, this one is not even a CETA hopping, it's a duplication where a person with the same ID and same gender, same names is on the program in KwaZulu-Natal for, let's say, services CETA, and is in Limpopo for a CETA of bank CETA in Limpopo in the same financial year. And we had correctly called it that it might be that some of the service providers that you appoint, they sell this data amongst themselves so that they rob the system. Because it does not make sense that Eiteboho will be in a CETA program in Limpopo in the same year as in a CETA program in KwaZulu-Natal. So we're getting a briefing on that. And then later on we'll get a briefing from the department on progress in the implementation of the recommendations of Youth Parliament report. And then we're removing the one of the implementation of the recommendations and resolutions on our committee meeting and reports. So what we had done on all our resolutions that we take, we had given to the department, and we had said we're giving them about 3 months to come and give us a report on what is it that they are doing, so that honorable Christians were able to track progress. We don't make recommendations and the department does not act on some of them. Some of them are very serious. At least I can report, Mampi, that I saw a statement from USAF. They had a conference last week, I think in Durban, looking at the for lack of a better word, the reforms on the internationalization policy implementation, which for us it's a sign that they may not want to publicly acknowledge it, but they are acknowledging the challenges surrounding these issues of internationalization policy. And for me, it's a good enough step that they would have taken. So this is why we had put this matter here. So MICT, at least we have heard why it is important for us to get a briefing on this issue of ILMS system. It's firstly to curb corruption, if any, to respond to issues. The Auditor General of South Africa as a Chapter 9 institution will have raised with us, and generally to make the system a little bit better there of the sitters. And that we want to make that system of sitters better. It must not be seen. And I think I must report again, members, that I've received 2 letters from Outer. I had not seen them, actually saw them only last night. But I think they sent them last week, Thursday or something. They are asking us as a committee, and towards the end when all members are here, I will present the letters to yourselves so that we take a committee resolution. But what they are asking is that we do an inquiry on some investigative work on some contracts that would have been awarded to some companies at, I think they've mentioned few sitters there, services, bank sitter, TITA, in-sitter, of 3 or so companies that are interconnected according to the investigation. So we'll present to yourself. Secondly, I went to receive a memorandum from students at CPUT yesterday. We will write to CPUT now whilst we're in this meeting. You may be aware that there was a strike at CPUT that started last week Tuesday as a result of, in my view, very reckless leadership that took a decision. In fact, around this time last year, the same thing happened at Fort Hare, where leadership takes a decision without consulting stakeholders, and in this case, students, on a decision that will affect students. We do agree that universities must find mechanisms to recoup money owed to them, but in doing so, they must do so after serious consultation with stakeholders. So they had taken a decision last week to say that whether you are NSFAS or not, if there's a debt on your name, if you don't have 7,000, you'll not register next year. And for NSFAS funded students, we've told universities over and over again, you as a university, you advertise for private accommodation providers to provide accommodation to you. You advertise. and then you adjudicate. When you adjudicate Dr. Christian's property, Dr. Christian says, I'm going to charge 7,000 rand per bed per month. That's my price. You agree as a university that will give you 7,000 rand, knowing full well that NSFAS pays up to 5,200. And then you take this NSFAS funded student, you put them in that accommodation. And then you say they must find 1,800 every month, they must find it somewhere. Becomes 18,000 at the end of the year. And then the following year you are saying, if you don't have 7,000 minimum, I'm not going to allow you to register. A self-inflicted pain by this self-created crisis. Because if it was me, I would say, I mean, including here in Cape Town, I'm sure, if they can advertise, they've not advertised, there's about almost 5,000 beds there that are expiring. In fact, most of their beds, Honorable Ngubane, don't even meet the minimum norms and standards. They don't. CPUT themselves did an investigation into one of the residences here in town called Ekai, early in the year. That said, this thing is not fit for purpose. Kids or students must not stay here. As I'm talking to you now, there are students who are staying there. That accommodation does not meet minimum norms and standards. Non-compliance. They are charging way above the cap, which pushes us to ask, it is in whose best interest that students are put there? So we are going to write to CPUT today. As we are sitting here, when we're going to write to them. Because I don't understand how buildings have been destroyed today. And I know the first people to be blamed, Manzini, are going to be students. But like those students, we have been students ourselves. And we know that we've got unethical, immoral business people who are on this databases of these universities. When there's a peaceful strike, they take advantage. They create a distraction and boom, a building has been torched. But that could have been avoided if now they've withdrawn that reckless statement of 7,000 without consultation. They've withdrawn it after buildings were destroyed today. Now they are saying students must leave today by 4 o'clock. Failure to do so, they are probably going to unleash private security on them. But what they don't understand is that there, Mampi, there's probably 70% of students who are at CPUT are NSFAS students. Almost all of them. They were SASA beneficiaries. So almost all of them don't have money to leave District 6 here with an Uber of 100 rands to go to, let's say, Khayelitsha. Many of them are from outside Cape Town. The institution says by 4 o'clock you must be out. More than 50% of students, they are females who do not have anybody to give them money at home. Now we are going to create a serious social problem for us because they are going to be vulnerable and somebody is going to take advantage. And then tomorrow, once something bad has happened, they are going to withdraw again. And there will be no consequence management. So department and ministry, we can't have our institutions behaving like this. They are trigger happy when it comes to students. And that should not be allowed to continue.